everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar today. My name is Sibel Dasti. I'm a member of the International Recruitment team at InUni, a sister company of Global University System. And I'm very excited to welcome our new partner university, Hartpury University, which is located in beautiful Gloucestershire in the west of the UK, just under 2 hours from London. Today, we will be exploring the different courses opportunities in the sports department of Hartpury University. And I am joined for that by our colleague at Hartpury, who is Sarah Lee, head of the sport department. And in the background, we have Sukanya and Jinx from our marketing team that will ensure we have a smooth webinar. Before we start, some housekeeping rules. You are all in mute. For any question, please use the Q&A box rather than the chat box, and we'll be happy to answer all questions at the end of the presentation. And be assured the presentation will be sent afterwards. So sit back and enjoy, and the floor is yours, Sarah.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. Bear with me just a moment whilst I share my screen. Can you confirm that you can see my screen?
Yes.
Lovely. And the presentation, yes, lovely. Okay. Hello, everybody. As introduced, my name is Sarah. I am the head of department for sport at Hartpury University. My intention through the slides that I've got today is to give you a little bit of a flavour of what studying a sport-related degree at Hartpury University would be like. But I think probably first it's a good idea to just give you a little bit of a context about Hartpury itself. Hartpury we class ourselves as a small and specialist institution. So small because we only focus on a handful of subject areas, sport being one of them. But we do that because we want to focus on those areas that we think we can really, really excel in and do really well. And I'm really pleased and proud of the fact that sport is a really thriving department at Hartpury. And whilst I'm obviously slightly biased in what I think, there are an awful lot of competitors out there in the sport and exercise market for university provision. But it's worth kind of looking at data and stats and see what other people are saying. And I'm actually really proud of the fact that in the most recent Guardian newspaper league tables, Hartpury University was graded as 4th best in the country for sports science, which is an amazing achievement for a small and specialist institution. What makes us special is something that I'm going to cover today. But as we are small and specialists, one of the unique things about the Hartpury learning environment is that everybody is at Hartpury doing something that they love. And actually, we see having a student population of individuals who are really passionate about the thing that they are studying. We see that as creating a really unique environment. It's not a university that's got 20,000 students and people are there studying law or engineering because that's what parents think is a really good provision. It's a university that's full of individuals who genuinely have a passion for their subject area. And I think that creates a really unique environment. For sport, it's the kind of place that the second you step foot on campus, you can see that it is a place that truly is passionate and loves sport and exercise and health. And some of the imagery that I've used today during the slides will hopefully kind of bring that to life for you a little bit. One of the other things that is quite unique about Hartpury is that we actually operate alongside our academic provision, the university provision. We have what is called Hartpury Sports Academy. Hartpury Sports Academy is essentially an elite performance environment that we have created to support student athletes. We have 10 academies. They do focus predominantly on what I would say more traditional British sports, rugby, football, soccer, depending on where you are in the world, rowing, netball, which is very much a British sport or Commonwealth sport, equestrian, golf. But we also have the 10th Academy is called our Performance Academy, where we are supporting athletes who are elite performers in any other sport that we don't offer. So, for example, we might have a judo athlete be a member of our 10th Performance Academy. What the Sports Academy does is provide a professional sports environment so that students are able to study, get their academic credentials alongside continuing to pursue their performance, sporting performance ambitions. So our Sports Academy is home to sports science support services. So our athletes who are at the elite end of that academy gain access to our medical support services, our sports psychologists, our sports nutritionists, our specialist S&C coaches, etc. So for student athletes, it's a really unique environment where you can really do that dual career, further your athletic career, but also study at the same time. For those students that aren't student athletes, it also provides a really special environment because on the campus, we have this professional sports environment. It enables our learning to really be brought to life. And I'll talk about that a little bit more as we go through. In terms of our academic provision, essentially, it sits under three key areas, both at undergrad and postgraduate. So we have degrees within sports performance and sports management. We have degrees under the banner of applied sports sciences. And then we have degrees under the banner of sports coaching and physical education. I will go through each of these degrees. I mean, we have a lot. We have 9 undergrad programs and 5 postgrad programs. I'm not going to talk for hours about each one, but I'll give you some key highlights. But what's really important is no matter what the degree that a student is studying with us, our philosophy of how we teach that is the same regardless. We see ourselves as an institution that is really at the interface between theory and practice. So our whole philosophy is about there's no point learning the contents of a book if you don't know what to do with that knowledge. So all of the experiences that we provide for our students are about bringing learning to life and making sure that they don't just have the knowledge that underpins their subject area, but they also have the skills and the competencies required to work in industry. So we align ourselves very heavily with industry. We work very closely with professional bodies within our area, certainly with UK professional bodies, so that we know that our curriculum has currency. But it's really important to us that our students don't just have knowledge, they have skills. So students spend just as much time in the classroom as they would do out on the sports field or in one of our laboratories or in our injury clinic, whatever it might be. And the reason we can do that is because of the facilities that we have. So I've got a short video, it is a short video, that kind of will give you a little bit of a snapshot of some of our facilities. So that just gives you a little bit of a snapshot. And actually, in all honesty, one of the things that we always say is the true value of Hartpury is actually coming to visit Hartpury, setting foot on our beautiful campus and seeing our wonderful facilities. Our facilities have been built purely with students in mind. So a lot of universities have really great facilities, but one of the questions that we often ask is how much access do students get to those facilities? At Hartpury, our guarantee is that every part of our campus is used in teaching. So our students have access to a biomechanics lab, which has got a sprint track within it and force platforms and motion capture systems, so we can analyze human movement. We have a physiology laboratory, which includes an altitude chamber, so we can take students up to Everest Base Camp in that chamber, and we can look at the physiological responses to exercise within that environment. We have many sports pitches. We have an injury clinic. We have 3 strength and conditioning gyms across the campus. So all of these facilities support us in bringing our curriculum to life. And as I say, it doesn't matter what the program, that philosophy runs through everything that we do. I'm now going to take a bit of a moment to kind of talk through the programs that we have and the offers that we have. As I say, there are a lot, and I'm very conscious of not bombarding people with too much information. But so just as a reminder, I'll give you kind of key highlights. If you want further information, obviously you can pop a question in the chat, or you can visit our website and there'll be full details about each of our programs on the website. So the first one, just to highlight, is our bachelor degree in physical education and school sports. This is a program that is designed for those people that are very keen on PE teaching as a career option. So the picture that you see on the screen is actually taken on our campus. We have a purpose-built outdoor education classroom. And one of the reasons we did that is actually, certainly within the UK, PE and school sport has tried to find different ways of engaging all sorts of children in physical activity and exercise. And one of the ways that actually the government has pushed is outdoor education. So we have a purpose-built outdoor education classroom. And as part of this program, we have local school children bussed onto campus. So our students actually deliver PE education for local school children. As I said, everything is about theory to practice. We don't want students just coaching each other or teaching each other. That's a really valuable experience, but it's not actually real life. So there's nothing more real than having 20 9-year-olds in front of you, and as a 19-20-year-old student, and you have to deliver their PE lesson for that day. So we work a lot on live assessments, local schools coming in. Our students get exposure to special educational needs students as part of that as well. It is very much focused on the British national curriculum, so that is something to be mindful of, but we do compare and contrast national curriculum requirements in the UK across other countries as well. But that is a program that, as I say, is designed for students who are keen to explore teaching as their career pathway. We then have both an undergraduate provision and a postgraduate provision in sports coaching. So a BSc in sports coaching and an MSc in sports coaching. Both the undergrad programme is endorsed by the Chartered Institute for the Management of Sport and Physical Activity. So students who engage in that programme are also gaining the industry qualification recognised in the UK as a graduate coach. The undergraduate programme, the BSc in sports coaching, again, is about providing students with opportunity to really get hands-on with coaching. There is kind of 2 strands within that program. There's a performance coaching strand. So sometimes students are very keen on developing, wanting to coach at elite level. So their aspiration might be to work in the Premier League as a sports coach. But also some students have an aspiration to work in community sports. So we've got 2 strands within our undergrad program. One performance, one sports, community sport coaching and sports development, if you like. It's important that our students learn about pedagogy. So this program isn't about teaching them all the skills to be a brilliant soccer coach or a brilliant rugby coach. It's teaching them about the art and the science of coaching, human interaction, how people learn, how you get the best out of people, how you create environments where people thrive, etc. So it is very much about the science and the artistry of coaching and getting the best out of people. The postgraduate program focuses a little bit more, tends to be a bit more on that high performance coaching environment. So we tend to see that the students that come onto that program are probably more ambitious to work in the world of elite sport or professional sport and advance their coaching careers within that environment. So high performance coaching, working in interdisciplinary teams. How as a coach you if you are a head coach within an elite environment, how do you communicate with the physiotherapists, your performance analysts, etc., and what conflict might arise from those kind of scenarios. So that is our sports coaching. Moving on, we have an undergraduate degree in sports performance. That program is designed, actually we've written this new for this year. It launches this September, but it's been developed over a number of years. We've had previous iterations of this program running. This is a program for somebody that maybe isn't sure what they want to do career-wise, but they know they really like the world of sport and elite sport in particular. So this program is about introducing students to the sports performance environment, so they get a taster of different elements of what an elite performance environment might look like, and they kind of go through they have opportunity to choose modules based on maybe what they're enjoying at the moment, what they might have a passion in. So there's a little bit more flex in the sports performance program. It is a program that has heavily built-in placement. We want our students to be able to be exposed to the elite sports performance environment. So as part of that program, students are in placement, both in the first, second and final year of the undergrad program. And the beauty of Hartpury is that we can provide that placement opportunity on site. We also have opportunities off site with our number of our elite sport partners. But when you have a sports academy on site, as I said at the start, it doesn't just service those people that want to be athletes. It creates a really great learning environment. So it might be that a student can shadow a performance analyst as part of their work placement, and that's housed within our sports academy. The master's program that is listed on this slide is our MSc in Applied Performance Analysis, and this is quite a new and hot area, certainly within the UK. And this is one of those fields that probably 10 years ago, there were very few programs looking at performance analysis. But as the world of elite sport has developed and professionalization of sport has increased year on year, people are looking for ways in which to find those marginal gains. How can we be better than the opposition? So analysis is an area that has really evolved. This is a program about how you use software, video software and software packages to analyze and code sports performance, to then use that information to feed through to coaches and staff within elite environments in order to give people a competitive advantage. So as part of our masters, all of our students have a placement within our academy. So they are assigned to one of our elite teams, and they are essentially, whilst doing their masters, they will be filming, recording the fixtures, the competitions, and live coding information and feeding that back to the coaching staff whilst as part of their studies. We have invested heavily in software for this program. So we have Huddle software, which is an international recognized software that is used within most of the major sporting leagues. So that's the software that the Premier League football would use. It's used out in North America in their basketball leagues, etc. So it is very much an internationally recognized software that we're teaching students in. It's a program that doesn't necessarily require students to have a sport undergrad to go on to, but they do have to understand the principles of what performance analysis is. It's not data analysis, number crunching. If anybody's seen the film Moneyball, it's not quite like that. This is definitely about being able to film and video sports performance and then code it to provide meaningful information for coaches. But we provide those opportunities both on our own campus, but also through our partners with elite sport organisations as well. Next up is our undergrad programme in sport and exercise sciences. So this is a pretty, this is probably the most well-known degree title, I'd say, in the UK, under the umbrella of sport and exercise degrees. Sport and exercise sciences is essentially, again, a programme for maybe those students that aren't sure what they want to do in terms of outcome, graduate destination, but they really enjoy sport, and in particular the science aspect of sport. So our undergraduate degree in sport and exercise sciences has 3 key strands. It has psychology, so sports psychology. It has sports physiology, so understanding how the body responds to exercise and responds to sport performance. And also then biomechanics. So our facilities are amazing facilities, really come in handy for this program. So our students are analysing human movement within our biomechanics laboratory, looking at the force production during a jump when someone's playing badminton, looking at acceleration and deceleration using our motion 3D capture system, so that you can look at injury prevention or looking at enhancing performance. Within our human performance laboratory, physiology laboratory, our students will learn to take blood lactate samples. So you look at what is happening physiologically to the body whilst students are at exercise. And I talked about our altitude chamber and students getting that exposure to what happens to the body when you're exercising at altitude. And from a psychology point of view, they start to learn the I guess the foundations of how emotions can impact on sports performance or indeed exercise performance. So if we want people to be healthier and fitter, part of the battle is the mental battle of wanting to commit to an exercise program. So how do we look at behavior change models, etc.? At master's level, we have a master's in research in sport and exercise science, and this is slightly different to some of our other postgraduate taught programs in that it is a master's in research. So there is a requirement of students on this program to do a larger research project. So the bulk of their credits would come from a large scale research project that they can do on campus using our facilities in partnership with industry or using our athletes as participants. So as part of that program, students need to kind of have an idea about what they're really interested in researching, and it might be a particular aspect of physiology, it might be a particular theme to do with psychology, sports psychology, it might be about injury prevention in youth sport, but they would come to us and have a particular interest, research interest, and we would help to support that and create a project out of that. Alongside that big project, they do a handful of modules, and they can choose which kind of modules they're interested in from our suite of postgraduate modules. And like I say, the value of Hartpury, every program has the same value in terms of the experiences that can be accrued on our own campus. So as well as being a fantastic teaching facility, we also use our laboratories and our sports science facilities to test local performance athletes. So we have international athletes come onto site because they're interested in understanding a little bit more about their performance. So as part of that, our students might get exposure to professional rugby players or our local professional football team. They come onto campus, and we might engage in a fitness testing battery of tests. So our students are engaged in those kinds of activities. Next up is our provision in strength and conditioning. So we have both an undergraduate and a postgraduate degree in strength and conditioning. Both of those programs are endorsed by CIMSPA, the Chartered Institute for the Management of Sport and Physical Activity. So students who engage in that those programs not only get their degree, either their undergraduate degree or their postgraduate degree, but they also get an industry qualification. But we're also recognised by the North American Strength and Conditioning Association. We have their stamp of approval that our provision is strong and aligned to industry. These programs both predominantly focus on strength and conditioning, probably within the sports performance environment more so than health. Having said that, we are very mindful that industry is changing a lot and the opportunity within physical activity and health is increasing. So we have for this year, starting in September, built in some curriculum that focuses on strength and conditioning for aging populations. Most populations across the world are aging populations. So if we can actually support our older adults to be stronger and fitter, they might be more robust to when they have trips and falls, for example. So our students are learning the principles of strength and conditioning that has an underpinning in sports science. So they will understand sports physiology, what is happening to the body. They will understand anatomy and they will understand biomechanics, because tweaks in technique will impact on how the body performs. But they essentially are focusing very much on the skills and methodologies used within strength and conditioning science. As part of both of those programs, our students have placement opportunities, again, within our own sports academy, but also off-site. We have some partner institutions that we work with. And we also have a research focus on youth athletes in particular. We're very, from a research perspective, Hartpury is very keen on understanding youth athletes and injury prevention, and particularly female athletes at the moment. So our students get a lot of exposure to youth athlete development as part of these programs. And here's just a little pause in me talking to show you one of our success stories. So Dan was a student who studied both undergrad and postgrad S&C with us, and he became, as part of a year out, as part of his program, did an internship with Gloucester Rugby, and then was upon graduation employed within the world of professional rugby. And there are lots of stories like a Dan. Essentially, my kind of selling point to you is that we bring learning to life, and it's all about theory to practice. And I think that when you look at the case studies and the success stories that we have on our website, the students kind of all attribute their success to the fact that during their studies they were able to gain those experiences. They were able to interact with athletes as part of their studies, or they were able to really put into practice what was being learned in lectures. And that is what they say has actually been fundamental to supporting them in their graduate outcomes. And I truly believe, I mean, there are, as I said at the start, there are a lot of competitors for sports related programs. I truly believe that we do that really, really well at Hartpury. We bring that learning to life just because of the environment that we have. Next up is our sport and exercise nutrition offer. So again, we have an undergrad program which has been running for a number of years. That is endorsed by the SENR, which is the UK professional body for sport and exercise nutritionists. And new, starting in September 2026, not this September, next year, is an MSc in sport and exercise nutrition. This program, again, it sings true to our philosophy. The picture you see there is maybe not the best picture, but we have a bespoke teaching kitchen on campus. So whilst this program, both of these programs are heavily ingrained in sports science, again, students have to know about physiology. They have to know how the body responds. They have to know about biochemistry. If you want to be a sport and exercise nutritionist, you have to practice what you preach. So you have to be able to cook and prepare meals, etc. So we have a bespoke teaching kitchen on campus. So our nutrition students, as part of their program, will be not only designing meal plans, but they will be in the kitchen preparing and cooking meals for athletes. So it's like live work with athletes. So here we've got an athlete that needs to prepare for an upcoming competition. So they need to be loaded with certain nutrients. You need to prepare their menu, and now you're going to cook their menu. So the students spend just as much time in that facility as they do in the classroom, developing those skills. As part of that program, they'd also do their food hygiene certificate, and which makes them more employable. It means that once they leave us, they're ready to go out and work in industry. Obviously, at MSc level, that program is designed for students who have maybe who haven't necessarily studied much nutrition in it as an undergraduate student, but they're certainly interested in a career in sport and exercise nutrition. So it might be that a student's done a sports science undergrad, and as part of their sports science undergrad program, they had one module or one course in nutrition. They thought, that's quite interesting, I'd like to learn more about this. So the master's program allows them to kind of really fully focus on sport and exercise nutrition. And then we have our sports therapy offer. I hope you're all still with me. It's I did warn you there were a lot of programs. So our sports therapy provision, perhaps first it's worth me saying, what's the difference between a physiotherapist and a sports therapist? In the UK, a physiotherapist is somebody that is trained and qualified to work within our National Health Service. So a physiotherapist would be trained to work with people that have long-term health conditions. So it might be working with people that have asthma. It might be working with a 90-year-old who's just had a hip replacement. Sports therapists are trained, they're clinically trained, and our programs are endorsed and aligned with the Society of Sports Therapists. So it is upon graduation, our students not only graduate from a degree, but they also graduate with the industry qualification, which gives them license to practice. But our students are specialists in injury that have been sustained through participation in sport or physical activity. Our undergraduate program has been running for a number of years, and our MSc Sports Therapy is due to start this September. So that is a new program, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But essentially, as part of this program, our students obviously have to learn about injury, diagnosis, injury management, different techniques. And we do that by having a campus that is full of athletes, and quite often athletes get injured, and therefore there's a lot of case studies walking around campus or hobbling around campus. So our students run a clinic, a free clinic for athletes to attend, and our students actively are diagnosing, treating, and supporting athletes and rehabilitating athletes to get them back to play, return to play protocols. Alongside that, our students do their pitchside first aid training, and in England, in the UK, every Wednesday is dedicated to university sport. So our students are assigned a sports team, and they provide the sports therapy and first aid support for those teams, all as part of their programs. So again, it really sings to that whole idea of you don't just learn what to do, you're actually doing it as part of your degree program as well. The MSc program is what we call a conversion course. So again, that is for students, a bit like the nutrition masters I just spoke about. That is for students who do not already have a therapy qualification. So they might have done a sports science undergrad or a sport performance undergraduate degree. and thought, actually, I'm really interested in injury and how we treat injury, how we prevent injury. I'd like to now go and do a conversion sports therapy program. That's an 18-month course because it takes quite a while because it's aligned to the Society of Sports Therapists. Most masters you can complete in 12 months. This one takes 18 months because you have to do all the competencies that the Society of Sports Therapists outline. So as part of both of those programs, there's a high proportion of work placement experience that has to be signed off. But again, our campus is a really, really great place to do a program like that, purely because of the volume of athletes that we have and the environment we have with a medical centre on site. I think I'm nearly at the end of the programs, you'll probably be pleased to know. So we have our sport business management provision now, both again at undergraduate and at postgraduate. So these programs again are endorsed by the Chartered Institute for the Management of Sport and Physical Activity. So students who engage in these programs also gain the industry qualification of being a senior manager. So that's a qualification recognised within the business and leisure industry within the UK. Students as part of these programs obviously will study core business principles, marketing, organizational management, leadership, strategic management, project leadership, digital media, etc., but within the context of the world of sport and sport development as well. And as part of this, our students, it was really important for us to create real world opportunities for our students. So actually, many of our students work within our campus, providing events management support. They might do the digital media and marketing campaigns for some of our sports teams. They work on what we call live briefs. So an organisation might come to us and say, we'd like somebody to run a marketing campaign for us because we want to promote men's health, and our students then get that as a project as part of their studies. So it is a business program. It does have business principles throughout. There is an element of finance attached, but certainly all within the context of the world of sport. And actually, our students on this program go on to do some really great things. And prime example, his Will did our undergrad degree in sport business management. As part of his undergraduate degree, one of his modules was about launching putting forward an idea for a new business, and he had to present the new business idea as part of the module, and we had industry experts come in and assess the students for their ideas and their business plans, and the best student, their idea was supported financially, and Will now actually runs his own business based off the business idea he created during the module on his undergraduate degree. So it was that opportunity again on campus that we provided alongside his studies, to put theory into practice, real world learning, using industry to come in and assess and give feedback to students, so that actually upon graduation, students are not only knowledgeable and got the core foundations of their subject areas, but they also have the skill set required to go out and work. So that is the headlines of our offer. If there are 3 key things that I think make Hartpury unique and are USPs across those programs, the 3 key messages that I would always want people to take away from us, they are as follows. The first one is it's about passion. We are an institution that really values passion, and we acknowledge that there's a lot of students that often have a real passion for sport and exercise and health and physical activity, but they don't necessarily know what it is that they want to do. Some do, which is brilliant. And if they do know what they want to do, they often know what degree they need to do to get there, but others don't, and that doesn't deter us in any way. Being passionate about a subject area is really important to us, and I think if you come to Hartpury, what you see is that all the staff are really passionate about their subject areas, so we work really hard with students to turn that passion into a career. The second thing is industry standard. That's really important to us, and I've laboured the point today a lot about theory to practice and our approach, bringing learning to life, making sure that our students get access to live briefs. We don't want students just to be really good at coaching their peers. We want them to really know what it's like in the real world, so we create those experiences. That is definitely something that I'm really proud of the fact that we do that at Hartpury. So we work with a lot of professional bodies to ensure our currency, but our campus and the facilities, and like I say, you've seen a little snapshot of that through the pictures that are included in the presentation. The campus really allows us to bring learning to life. And as I said at the start, a lot of universities have really great facilities, they really do. But the question always to students is, how much access do you get to those facilities? How much of your learning takes place in those facilities? We want industry standard in everything we do. So a student arrives at Hartpury, we don't just assess them using exams and coursework because that's what a university does. What we do is think about how we assess students in the way that industry would assess. So if you're on a sports therapy degree, you're assessed in the clinic treating a client. If you're on the strength and conditioning degree, you're assessed in the gym, creating a program for a client. If you're on a nutrition program, you're assessed in the kitchen, creating the menu for your client, etc. So industry standard is critical in everything that we do. And the last thing is, and again, this is really important to us. I started by saying Hartpury's small and specialist. Our sports department is actually quite large, but the university is small, and we only focus on those few areas. And that's really important to us because we really get to know our students, and that's really important. So sometimes, quite often, I have to talk to parents, and parents often worry about sending their loved ones off to university and worrying that they might get lost because they're one of 20,000 students. That's not the Hartpury way. It's really important to us that we get to know every individual. So all of our students are assigned a personal academic tutor and a program manager. It is really hard to go through Hartpury, your time at Hartpury, without being known, without someone knowing what your strengths are, when you might need an arm around a shoulder, when you might need a little nudge and a motivational kick up the backside, for example. That's really important to us, that we know our students and all of the mechanisms that we have in place and the way that we teach. Because we're teaching across our campus, it means that whilst we might have lead lectures that have 100+ students in, the practical sessions might only have 20 students in. So it allows us to get to know our students more. And then that's really important to us because we want every student to go on to be the best that they can be. So they're the kind of three key take-home messages that I think are our USPs and make us stand out from others. So there is the list of programs, both undergrad and at postgrad. So I've given you a little bit of insight into all of those. Just to note, on the undergrad side, there is one right at the bottom, BSc Psychology (Sport and Exercise). That is a new program currently being developed for a 2026 start. We haven't had full sign off on it yet. Well, we've had sign off that it's being developed, but we haven't got full curriculum written yet. So I haven't spoken about it today because I don't want to say anything that we haven't really put in place yet. But if you have students that are maybe interested, you can always send their inquiries through and we can put the relevant staff in touch with them. On the postgraduate side, they're all listed there. And again, we have our MSc starting in 2026 in sport and exercise nutrition. It's also worth noting that we do, if you were on our website, we do also have a postgraduate diploma in coaching rugby. That is a degree that we run in partnership with the Rugby Football Union of the English Rugby Football Union. And the only people that can do that program are people that have been through the Rugby Football Union level 3 qualification. So it's a very bespoke program for a very particular type of person. Hence, I've not spoken about it today. So that is me. I am more than happy to answer any questions that there are in the chat.
Thank you so much. It was really a very insightful and very complete presentation. So we do indeed have some questions. The first of which is the academic requirement to join physical education or applied sports sciences.
So all of that information is on our web pages. So we talk about a typical offer. So if you just direct it to our web pages, all of the academic requirement is on there. Obviously, we work in the UK. We work on a tariff system, but internationally that will be different. So I would recommend going to the web page for the exact accurate information. It does differ for some programs, because sometimes we specify particular subject areas have to have been studied. So if you want to come and do sport and exercise science, for example, we do suggest that someone's done some science before coming onto that program, for example, because it would be a big step up if they didn't.
Do any sports programs have any physical requirement, like being a sportsman?
No, so there's no requirement to be playing at a certain level or anything like that. It is purely academic requirements. It's, whilst I've talked a lot today about the value of the Sports Academy, it's not essential that people come to us, our athletes, and are doing things that are really active. I mean, the one thing I would say is we do have a fitness to practice element on our sports therapy program. So we do have to monitor, because people obviously have to be in a position to be able to deliver the treatment. So there's no kind of fitness requirement, but there might be a fitness to practice requirement. So but otherwise all of our other programs are very inclusive and able for anyone. There's no physical requirement as such.
We have a question regarding scholarship or bursaries available for international MSc sports students. So is there any scholarship available?
Yes, so we do have our usual bursaries, which again are listed on our website. For sports in particular, there are, I guess, two other opportunities. Firstly, if there is a talented athlete, and when I say talented, that's quite difficult to quantify, isn't it? But somebody that maybe is competing at national level, for example, our Sports Academy does offer small scholarships to some students, not all, some. And on our website, again, if you went under the tab Sports Academy, there is an opportunity to submit an inquiry, and a student could submit an inquiry, say, I represent my country or my region at insert sport, and somebody will be in touch. I'll be really honest, they aren't really big scholarships, but there is potential opportunity there. The second strand, with particularly with our postgrad offers, we offer a studentship scheme, and the studentship scheme is a financial contribution towards fees, postgraduate fees, but in return the person is expected to work within the Sports Academy. So every year we launch, I think this year we launched 20 roles within the Sports Academy, and they really range. So it might be football coach, it might be a performance analyst for second team rugby, it might be S&C coach for netball academy. So they are launched on our website. They're launched, we promote those, so the student can apply for that. Obviously the condition is that they have to be studying a postgrad degree, but they get a financial contribution towards those fees. And then in return, they do the work, they work for the academy as well and gain that experience of what they're studying.
That's very good. Just a reminder to everyone, the international scholarship at Hartpury, which is a Vice Chancellor international scholarship, has a value of £3,000. And the deadline was actually end of May. We will check if there is an extension on it, but just for you to be aware about that scholarship. What partnership does Hartpury have with professional clubs or sports bodies? Example, FA, RFU.
Okay, so we are, on that last slide, I talked very briefly about the postgraduate diploma in sports coaching, and I said that was in partnership with the RFU. We are the only organisation in the country in England working with the RFU on that programme. So we are their preferred provider for their education programme. Because of the Sports Academy, we work quite closely with all of the national governing bodies. We have, alongside our student teams, we also have some Saturday side, we call them the Saturday sides, but our rugby team plays in the Championship League. That's one below the Premier League in the UK. So that's elite level, that's professional level. So we obviously work, we have full-time athletes representing Hartpury in the Championship. And our football side is also just been promoted into Tier 4 of the Football League. So they are climbing the ranks. So we have, it's not just football and rugby, we have all of those links with our respective governing bodies. But Gloucester Rugby is literally minutes down the road, and our women's team, the Women's Premiership champions, are Gloucester Hartpury, and that is a joint venture between Gloucester Rugby and Hartpury University, or Hartpury. So we have a lot of opportunities within our partner organisations. We're not where we're located from a football point of view, where we're geographically located, there aren't any big Premier League teams nearby. So we tend to work with some of the lower league teams, but actually in many ways that works out a bit better because they're more in need of the help and support. So I would say there's no shortage of industry opportunities as it stands for our students.
Excellent. And one last question: how is Hartpury research in sports sciences rated in the REF Research Excellence Framework?
So that's a really good question, and I'm probably going to give a really long-winded answer. So we are a new university. We became a university in 2018, and the last REF exercise happened in 2019. So it was a massive push to put something into REF. You can only submit for REF, the Research Excellence Framework, if you are a fully fledged university. So we put one submission into the Unit 24, which is the sports science one, and we came out with some of our work being internationally recognised as world class. We did pretty well. Again, the report is on our website, so you can find information on our website. The next REF exercise is taking place in 2029. That will be our first proper go at it, because we'll have had a proper run in.
Yep.
And again, we will be submitting into Unit 24, which is the sport and exercise unit. And we hope to do better than we did last time. Last time it was a very small submission. From a teaching point of view, within the UK, there is, alongside REF, the Research Excellence Framework, there's also TEF, which is the Teaching Excellence Framework. We are rated as triple gold, which is the highest rating you can get for teaching. And I think it is fair to say we are a teaching institution. That's our priority. Research is really important. It's important that our curriculum's research informed, but we want to provide the best teaching and learning experience for students.
Excellent. I have a question. Overall, just in average, so most of the courses are practical as well as, face-to-face in most of the programs. But what would be the workload for a student per week? Just an average, just an idea.
I would say in terms of face-to-face content, so being with a lecturer or being with a member of staff, between 12 and 15 hours a week on campus doing something. And then obviously what we always say is we call it reading for a degree for a reason. So outside of the face-to-face sessions, students would have to be doing their assessment work, etc. But face-to-face on campus, 12 to 15 hours a week is probably the average for study hours.
And students would have access to all the facilities,
time
right?
to work, etc.
Yeah.
Sorry, say again.
I'm sorry, students will have access to all the facilities actually within the sport department.
Yes, everything you see behind
campus,
you,
by the way.
Yeah, everything you see is timetabled. So, and with the Sports Academy, the training of athletes is timetabled as well. So it works around the academic timetable. So there's never an excuse that someone can't come to a session because they had football training or soccer training. It can't happen because we timetable it all.
Excellent. I think that's it for the question. Thank you so much for the detailed answer. So a reminder to all participants, we are still open for application. Please, if you have any question, contact our local team on the ground. And we look forward to welcoming you to Hartpury very soon in September. Wishing everyone an excellent end of the week. And thank you very much, Sarah, for this very insightful presentation.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Bye. Bye-bye.